Iran's oil production output has come back to the same quantity equal to the extent it had before the application by the Trump administration of what was known as the maximum pressure sanctions in 2018. That followed President Trump's decision to withdraw from the nuclear deal signed between the Obama administration and the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran in 2015. Expectedly, with more sanctions lifted, Iran has the potential to produce more oil. This is a dangerous prospect for the Middle East and the Gulf region.
You've got to be serious about the things you talk about. You know, there are sanctions on Iran. You've got to be serious. Otherwise, everyone is laughing at you. When you're weak, people get away with everything in the world. They laugh at us. And I think that's actually the case with Iran. When they look at the Biden administration, they look at President Biden, they see someone who's weak, not someone who's tough, not someone who's strong. So, yes, the Iranians are very good at getting away with things when you have weak leadership in the West and in America in particular.
Probably such a quick restoration of Iran's oil production capability is due to the fact that the government of President Ibrahim Raisi has invested in the past 6 months $500 million to rebuild the refineries that produced oil. That was reflected also in quick revenues. By the end of the Iranian calendar in March 2022, Iran scored a figure of $18 billion in oil sales. This demonstrates a 2.5 times duplication in profit compared with last year. What this money is used for?
It's not a secret to anyone in the world that the money that Iran has is spent on spreading terror throughout the Middle East, supporting terrorist organizations, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's Hamas, other organizations. It is so clear to everyone, this is what Iran does. This is for them, it's a religious obligation to spread the word, you know, and so this is exactly what they are doing. That's why we need to be so careful. We talk about a deal with Iran. Any deal that permits them to spend their money to support terrorism, you've got to be out of your mind to go along with it. It is insane to do that. And that's exactly what Iran is doing. And it's open. It's not a secret. No one argues.
What's dangerous is the statement given by the Iranians that they are now in a position to double their exports. The official said, in terms of energy security, the Islamic Republic is capable of achieving stability on the international scene. Well, Iran is not a source of either regional or global stability. Iran is not a stable country, domestically speaking. The level of dissatisfaction is high and rising among the Iranians. But Iran's ability to produce more oil will strain relations further between the Arab Gulf states and the Biden administration.
Many of the Middle Eastern states who are friendly with Israel, things are already strained with the administration because the policies of the Biden administration. So, these different states in the Middle East and with Israel, they understand that they live in the neighborhood. They have to protect themselves. They have to make sure that they are strong and that the threat of Iran and what Iran's goal is, that someone stand firm, strong, and united against that. And again, I as an American, it's sad for me to see the Biden administration. They are so desperate for a deal with Iran. Look, I don't know if there will be a deal or not, but I can tell you the Biden administration wants a deal. And the funny thing is, while all these negotiations are going on, and they're very, very close, we are told by the Biden administration, while this is all going on, America is not even talking to Iran. You know, they're not sitting at the table. Can I repeat that? America and Iran are not sitting at the same table looking at each other, but we're making a deal that involves dangers that are beyond belief in terms of trusting Iran. Does anybody trust Iran with they will abide by the rules? Oh, come on. You got to be nuts to trust that.
Iran will undermine the OPEC Plus deal, where members of the 13 countries members of the OPEC, in addition to the Russian Federation, are cooperating to set up the levels of production of oil in terms of its price, quantity, and distribution marketing. There is no universal consensus now between the United States and the Arab Gulf states on security issues. There are growing divergent views on energy policies. The Gulf Arabs have a consistent understanding of Iran. The Biden administration does not have a consistent understanding of Iran.
Israel and the other nations, they live in the neighborhood. They are the ones directly affected. Look, all these countries want peace. They want a relationship that, is real. But they understand who Iran is and what Iran is all about. So they get it. We are far away from Iran, but our policies make all the difference in the world. America is the leader of the free world. And if we are not tough, if we are not strong, if we do not stand with our friends and we make a deal with Iran, and give them, some people say $100 billion. We all know what they're going to do with it. It's like giving weapons to a person who's going to murder other innocent people, because that's exactly what these terrorist organizations are all about. So, the Biden administration is living in fairyland. They're living in Disney World. They're living, not in the real world. Yes, negotiate, talk, but you got to be tough and strong. And you got to be very careful about trusting this terrorist regime in Iran.
The evidence of Iran selling more oil will be the proof that it will direct its terror campaign more on targets inside Saudi Arabia and UAE. Iran's oil money can be smoothed over to the Houthis and Hezbollah to cause more terror in the Middle East. The Biden administration should create an office that can monitor the relationship between the more money Iran earns from its oil sales and the big increase in the magnitude of terrorism it can mastermind. The gap is widening between the Biden administration and the national interests of the Arab countries, especially the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Hey, Maria Malouf here. Please click to like and subscribe to Maria Malouf TV YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.